It's a great fortune. And of course, I'm sure you are going to share with us a class on the current churning. What is your current churning? We are just going to finish the month, Avyakt month, January, tomorrow. So what has been your effort in this month of January, and what is your inspiration for Brahmins for this year in particular, when the time is getting, fast and worst day by day? So we would like to get some words of wisdom from you. Kanbai?
Okay, thanks, Miraben. The answer to your question about what I'm thinking about lately is very much connected with the point of today's Murli, when Baba reminds us of different basic awarenesses that we need to have. This is the essence of our experience, is to know these things, and not only know them, but to experience them as well. So Smriti actually is not just awareness, it's also understanding and experiencing something. So it really becomes part of the soul. That's really awareness. The Smriti Swarup is that all of these things become a natural part of the way we think and the way we speak and the way we interact. And I was just remembering now, here with, about 100 BKs, again, they've been not having retreats. And so for the first time, they're starting to come here in the Blue Mountains. And I just remember, we had such a powerful yoga bhatti yesterday, a day of silence, again, another day of silence in the month of January. So we've had several days of silence. And I was just reminding people, we should go beyond all of the things, go really deeply into silence, not just physical, verbal silence, but silence here. We have to still the chatter of our minds so that we become very beyond everything. And when we come back, we shouldn't come back and lose everything in 5 minutes, because I noticed that yesterday in the evening when we finished, when we went for dinner, everyone was talking so loudly. And I remembered a scene with Daddy Janki. We were having a retreat somewhere, and there was a day of silence, and everyone was absolutely flying. And then they came out of silence. And again, the Brahmins were blah, 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 all like chattering chickens, maybe. That's what it sounded like. And Daddy said that you can lose in 5 minutes all of the power that you gained in 2 hours. So I was thinking that we should, when we go have these experiences of silence, as we've been having in January, we should go and not come back completely. We should come back halfway. And really, we should come into sound when we really need to come into sound, and stay beyond sound when we don't need to say anything. That way we can serve our power. We can serve our power. Through extroversion, we lose everything. And some of the people are so happy, and they start to just chatter and chatter and chatter. And of course, they lose that subtlety that they've acquired after so much effort. And in 5 minutes, you lose all of the subtlety that you acquired in the whole yoga bhatti. But I was remembering this month especially, of course, it's Brahma Baba's month. And I was very much attracted to the idea of that Baba sometimes says that you were with Brahma throughout the cycle. So I've been playing with that idea, actually. And I'm not a person that goes into trance or has visions of anything, but it's not that I believe that I was with Brahma Baba. I know it. So I've been trying to go beyond believing into a state of knowing. A lot of things we believe, that do we know them? Is it we're absolutely convinced? I'm a soul, for example, that's okay. I know I'm a soul. I know God exists. He's as real as this, is this desk in front of me. He's as, he is something. And the thing is, Baba, Shiv Baba doesn't move. Everything in the whole universe moves except Baba, except Shiv Baba. And that's why he's the most stable one. If my mind, everything is churning around and around, so much spinning and craziness and fake news and opinions and everything churning around us. But Baba's still, absolutely still in the same place. He doesn't move, doesn't change. Baba's changeless. Shiv Baba is changeless. Everything else changes except Shiv Baba. So you can imagine if I am connected with that, everything around me is changing and crazy, but because I have a connection with the one who's changed less, I become completely stable. So I've been playing with this idea, the whole difference between knowledge and belief. Because in Bhakti, we also believe in many things, but we don't know. We believe in God, but we don't know God. We believe that there are souls, but we don't know exactly what they are. And it's not just knowing, it's understanding and practicing as well. So there's belief, and then there's knowing, and then there's really understanding, and then putting it into practice and experiencing. So we can check ourselves. How many of the things that Baba tells us, do we just believe because Baba says them, or do we know them? We've experienced them. I am a golden aged soul, for example. If that's real, it means that those sanskars are recorded in me, right? I can access them, therefore. So on the 17th of January, especially, in one of those 3 days of the Bhatti, the international Bhatti, where all of the centers in the world were connecting up, the whole Brahmin family was doing the effort, even from India. We've heard some good feedback from the centers in India and from the centers around the world, how great and powerful it was. I was in Wilton, which is our other center, retreat center here in Sydney. And I went there with Brother Charlie, and there were only 11 of us there because there wasn't any program. And the good thing is that though there was the request that we don't have any gadgets in those days, we move away from devices, like tech devices, like cell phones and all of that. 3 days without cell phones and stuff, which was good in Wilton because the internet wasn't working. So not only the internet, the mobile networks were not working. So we couldn't use the internet. We couldn't use the devices anyway. So we were literally free. So we couldn't watch the classes from Gentiben and so on. We couldn't see anything like that. We couldn't play anything, download anything, because the internet wasn't working. So we literally just had the 3 days of silence. We didn't even read anything. Just silence and more silence and silence, because it was a group of very mature Brahmins and don't need to read much, but we need to practice this loving silence that Baba told us about. So I was with that idea, and I was sitting there in one of the 2-hour sessions of meditation, because we did a few 2-hour sessions throughout the day. From the 11 o'clock in the morning to the 1 p.m. session, I was sitting there and I was, just looking at Brahma Baba's photo. They had a beautiful photo of Brahma Baba in the room where we were meditating. And I was thinking that if I did spend time with you throughout the cycle, what would it be like? So I started to turn the cycle, trying to look in my own sanskars for possible things that would have been recorded there. Because if I were with Brahma Baba, I was with Brahma Baba in different situations. So I was thinking like that. Can I can I have these experiences? If these experiences that I was with that soul throughout the cycle, then it must be recorded in my sanskars. So could I access those sanskars? My answer was yes, I probably could. So I was just using my creative imagination. And the first scene I saw in my imagination, it wasn't a vision or something, but I was just imagining it. But it was so real, like a living dream, you know, and I was dreaming while you're awake. So what I saw was there was this very noble looking gentleman on a horse. And I was just arriving from somewhere, and I said to that person, I have arrived with my 3,000. And the person said, very good. And then he said, we won't fight. People who are attracted to our banner are coming because of truth and our will to live in harmony. And what it was, it seemed, I'm just speculating because I couldn't see it very clearly, but it seemed like it was an invasion. And maybe it was the Muslims invading, I'm not sure, when they invaded India. And I was with this very noble looking person who was leading his people, and he refused to fight violently. And he refused to go to war with them. But so I looked at that person. I said, you know, in my imagination, I thought, you must have been Brahma Baba in your previous birth, in one of your births. Is that right? And of course, I didn't get an answer. I just had the feeling that, yes, this was Brahma Baba in one of his Iron Age births, leading a small kingdom of people against, but he was still a king in those days, and he was leading them against an invading army, but he wasn't going to fight. He was going to try to make peace with them. And then the next scene came. I said, okay, if that's how it was, then I must have been with Krishna. And I started to try to look into my deep sanskars. Is there anything that shows me that I could have been with Krishna when he was just a prince? And I felt that I was in another scene. And I was like, as I said, it was like a waking dream. And I was with a musical instrument, and I was with some other friends, right? And it seemed like we were waiting for Krishna to show up. So I was showing them this incredibly melodious instrument, and we were having turns to play it until Krishna got there, but didn't come. Actually, the whole scene faded. Then the next scene that I said, okay, if I was still with Brahma Baba throughout the cycle, I would have seen some of the main scenes. So I asked my sanskars, was I, when Lakshmi had her first child, was I there? And suddenly I saw myself with about 50 people, and Lakshmi had just had a baby, and she was presenting it to the court. It was like her first son. And I thought, wow, such a royal. And these things are in the sanskars. I was thinking, these things are in my sanskars. If it's true that I was with Brahma Baba and Baba says like that, I must have been there. So these things are in my sanskars. Then suddenly I was in another scene. And Baba talked about it the other day in the Murli, the transfer of power from Lakshmi Narayan to Rama and Sita. And so I saw another scene, you know, many more people around, and the power was being transferred. The dynasty was changing from Lakshmi Narayan, the 8th dynasty, to Rama and Sita. So I was just feeling, well, this is great. And then the next scene, you know what it was? I was with a group of people, and again, one of them seemed to be the king, the ruler, and someone just arrived with this huge diamond, and everyone was discussing where they should put it, and what it was Somnath. And they were, what are we going to do with this, And this is probably the first, Baba talked about the first unadulterated worship started, and the Shivaling was a diamond. So I was seeing these scenes along throughout the cycle. If it's real and it's in my sanskars, I was trying to become subtle enough to dig into my sanskars and bring out these experiences. I don't know if it was just my fertile memory, but it seems so real. It seems so real. And then, Brahma Baba told myself and Charlie and one other brother in a meeting with him, he said, you were with Brahma in your previous birth. That means the one before this birth. And I tried to figure that one out. I tried to find that one in my own sanskars, right? There's a recent birth, last birth, before this one. And the only thing that I could get was that I was somehow part of the business community there. And I was obviously very impressed by Brahma Baba, because I must have taken Gyan in my previous birth, because when I came to Baba in this birth, I didn't even do the course. The first day I came to the centre in London, I was sitting in the Morley taking notes. And it seems so real. It seems so familiar. So the Gyan is very familiar. So I must have been around there. And so I was trying to dig into my own sanskars to bring out the experience of being with Brahma Baba in the previous birth, that he actually, Bapdada confirmed that in what way or how, of course, we don't know exactly. But anyway, I've been enjoying to think about the cycle, not as a description like we do, but as a journey through my own sanskars, which it makes it much more real for me. And of course, that makes me closer to Brahma Baba. So I'm close to Brahma Baba now. I probably will be close to Brahma Baba. And what does close mean? It means to have some sort of closeness in sanskars. So a similar sort of purity. So if I really think about Brahma Baba, and this is what we've been doing the whole month, what made him as he is? How come he was just a Pandava and he became Vishnu? He was just a Pandava, he was Arjun and then became Narayan, right? If I think of the criteria that you could say, yes, if I have these same criteria and I really improve myself in all of those 5 criteria, I will become like Brahma Baba, Bapsaman. And so what did he have? First of all was Sriman. His whole life, his whole thinking, his thought, words and actions, body, mind and wealth, everything was within Sriman. Nothing was outside of it. Nothing that he thought, nothing that he spoke, nothing that he did was outside of Sriman. So that was, for me, is the first criteria. The second one is surrender. He was immediately open to give everything he had, to hand over everything to Baba and his own life, everything. He had that realization that all of that other thing that I have is just a donkey ship, as he said. But this is a real thing that I'm getting from Shiv Baba. So it really wasn't surrender, was it? Like, okay, everything I have is yours. Everything I am is yours. The third criteria that you can look at Brahma Baba through would probably be renunciation. Baba talked about it today in the movie. Is it really renunciation when we're attaining so much? That's what is it really renunciation to change your dress, or to stop wearing jewelry, or to change your diet? No, it's much deeper than that. And it's a renunciation, the deep renunciation is to realize what I still have or think or I'm interested in that has absolutely no future, that Baba could not approve, no matter how I argued it. So am I using my time, money, body, mind, and wealth in a worthwhile way? And so what do I need to leave behind? That's what renunciation is, that I don't need and I can't need, and I won't need. I won't have a future. So just leaving those things behind, and Brahma Baba is the first one to do it. Then the fourth criteria is purity. He had such a foundation of purity to what he thought, what he kept in his mind, what he kept in his words, what he remembered from anyone, much more than just celibacy, but keeping the field is his mind clean from anything, from any contamination, from any negative influence from any side, just to keep ourselves clean and free. So he was the example of that. And the last one, the fifth one, is the trustee, being a trustee. That everything I have is yours. And then Baba says, no, you have to look after it. But it's yours, it belongs to Baba, not to me. So anything that's in my hands, anything I have, once I sang a song to Baba after the Morli, and this must have been in Om Shanti Bhavan. No, it wasn't. It would have been in the history hall. This is an old song. Or in the meditation hall. And Baba said, after the song, we used to sometimes just do a song so that we get Drishti and Toli from Baba. So I went up in front of Baba, and Baba gave me Drishti, gave me Toli, and said, give me your talent, and I'll give it back to you purified. So it was such a beautiful thing to say, It's just what talent is, just to be able to sing a song, But give it to me and I'll give it back to you purified. So I started to think that is the best way to be a trustee with Baba. I give it to Baba, but he then gives it back to me so that I can use it in a pure way. No ego, no attachment, none of the vices connected with it. So Brahma Baba stands out as the example because his life was totally within those parameters of Srimad, surrender, renunciation, purity, and being a trustee. 5 things. 5 things to be like Brahma Baba. So I've been thinking about all of those things, Miraben, and having gone through,
Again, by just 2 questions. One is nowadays in Brahmin family, people are very curious to know about the experience of the seniors. For example, like yourself, how do you experience yourself an angel in the subtle region? Because we talk a lot about subtle region and soul world these days, So we would like to hear your experience in yoga, how you experience yourself, how you describe the subtle region, and how what is the experience in the soul world. And the second question is, Baba talks a lot about service through the mind. And how do you do service through the mind according to the present time?
Okay. And so the experience that I have of, I think that I try to, as much as I can, just practice soul consciousness. When I get up from here and I go somewhere else, I try to be the soul moving the body. When I engage with people, I remember that they are souls. I make that effort to remember that they are souls, and I remember that I'm a soul speaking through the mouth. I make that effort. So if I gave you the answer in a short phrase, it would be I practice soul consciousness while I'm moving around. And then I don't get so much caught up in things. Like the whole idea of going and coming, Bubba was talking about last week. Why do when we come into the physical world after being in a state of meditation, we get caught up in it again, like tangled up in different things and feelings and vibrations and so on? It's because we are still attracted to that way of interacting. Now, that's why I said at the beginning, if I stay halfway, I'm the soul and I'm just observing. If there's something that I have to say, I'll say it. If I don't need to say anything, I'll stay quiet. I just won't engage in a discussion just for the sake of engaging in the discussion. So if I practice that, and I sit down after having practiced that for a while, I've already been soul conscious and I've already been subtle. The whole idea of an angelic experience, it's not a meditation commentary, I'm sorry. You just can't sit down and create a meditation commentary and become an angel. It's useful, but it's not real. I should have been an angel to be an angel. I should have been more angelic in the way I've been dealing with things practically, so that when I'm just sitting down, I'm already beyond in a second. When I go to Madhavan, for example, I remember it's so busy there, and even here it's so busy. In between, everyone wants to have a chat with me. Everyone wants some advice. So it's a full-on retreat, and then there's one after the other asking for some help and some advice. Now, I got really attached to doing that, I'd be exhausted. But because I keep myself half out when I'm dealing with things, I can become fully out when I need to. So I come halfway. I'm still subtle. I'm still talking. I'm still interacting. But then when I need to go beyond, it's easier. And I'm already an angel. Don't think about some angelic, subtle body, and people have a lot of imagination. They try to see their form of light and stuff like that. For me, I don't see anything. But I just feel. If I'm in a subtle angelic stage, I don't feel the weight of the body. I don't feel the time passing. It's a different dimension, but I'm aware. So I said, for me, I describe the angelic state as a state of a detached awareness. I'm aware of things around me. I'm aware of the physical world, but I'm completely detached. And at the same time, if something comes up, I'm sort of in this angelic state, and I just stay with Baba. If there's something that comes up, I can easily ask Baba, what do you think? So have an intimate relationship with Baba, because Baba is beyond. When I say Baba, if I'm talking to Baba, it means that I'm talking to the Avyakt form, because the soul in the soul world can't talk, right? So if I'm having a heart-to-heart conversation, it will be through the subtle form. Because if I'm really in the soul world, really truly in the soul world, I'm not even thinking. So this idea of people trying to see the golden red light of Paramdava and stuff like that, flying beyond the sun, moon, and the stars, I don't do it. I can't do it. I've never done it. But I know that Baba exists in a dimension beyond this one, and I've already located that vibration. Yeah. And so I don't see anything, but I just feel Baba's presence. I feel Baba giving answers. I feel Baba giving me subtly some guidance to do this or to do that. It's a matter of training, to train the self to interact in such a way that Baba is there, right? I'm not outside of Baba's company. I'm not doing things because of me. I'm not doing anything because of me. I'm even in Australia to do a series of programs. It's not because I desired to come to here, but there was this request to develop a course called Dharana-based leadership. And it's a course for our center coordinators, how to be better leaders in a spiritual context. So I sit with Baba and get a few ideas, and I put them down and I share them with others. But I don't think it's not my own intelligence.
हमें खुशियों मंगों से आपने भर दिया बाबा, हमें खुशियों मंगों से आपने भर दिया बाबा, बहुत ही शुक्रिया बाबा, आपका शुक्रिया बाबा, बहुत ही शुक्रिया बाबा, आपका शुक्रिया बाबा। मिलन का मेला ये रच गए, हमसे हर हाल में मिल गए। मिलन का मेला ये रच गए, हमसे हर हाल में मिल गए। बहुत ही सुख दिया बाबा, आपका शुक्रिया बाबा, आपका शुक्रिया बाबा। कभी नव वर्ष मनाया है, कभी झंडा फहराया है, हमें हर गुण से सजा करके सन का रंग लगाया है।